This is it. I'm converting this channel into a Batman channel. I'm only gonna talk about Batman stuff in the future. Nah, just kidding. I'm gonna talk about other stuff soon. But today, I wanna talk about my 5 favorite Batman villains. Because as great as Batman is as a superhero, he really needs his villains to shine. So my 5th favorite Batman villain is Poison Ivy, the very seductive and enchanting Poison Ivy, who only had one appearance out of all of Batman's theatrical movies. And that one appearance really isn't that good either, since it's from Batman and Robin, which is the worst Batman movie. Now I like Uma Thurman's depiction of this character. I like Uma Thurman's portrayal a lot. But it's just not in a very good movie, because Batman and Robin itself is just a bad movie, and it's a shame that the only appearance Poison Ivy had was in that movie. But I want to see Poison Ivy reappear in future Batman projects, because I think she will bring something new to the table, since she's gonna play a lot of mind games with Batman, since that's her power. Her power is seducing men. That's her power. Also, I hope that if they have Poison Ivy in future Batman projects, please don't tone down the sexuality of the character, because this is a very sexual character. This character plays mind games with Batman, but not like Riddler. It's a lot more sexual than the Riddler. Also, her motivations are pretty good, since her motivation is to save the planet, to save Mother Earth by protecting the plants and trees, and of course, like a lot of other Batman villains, she takes that to an extreme, and she wants to sacrifice human lives for the sake of protecting plants and trees. But it's still a very understandable motivation, since I think that even now there's a lot of environmental activists out there who are fighting for this cause. So it makes sense, and I want to see Batman getting seduced by Poison Ivy. It would be a pretty interesting scene. At number 4 is the Penguin. The Penguin has a very tragic backstory, and I don't think that, with all respects to the Tim Burton Batman movie, I don't really think that Batman Returns actually delves that deep into just the sheer tragedy of this guy's story. He was being casted aside, and he had lived his whole life as an outcast of society due to the way he is born and the way he looks. That's why he finds connection not with human beings but with birds, and he grew up to become the Penguin, who wants to seek revenge on society for treating him the way they did all those years ago. And this is a very a villain that is very easy to sympathize with, because he has a very rich backstory that is really tragic, and I think it could be a really great villain for the audience to feel attached to and for the audience to relate to. And I like Danny DeVito's performance as the Penguin in Tim Burton's movie, but Tim Burton's movie is a little bit more cartoonish, and I want to see a more realistic depiction of the Penguin that the audience could really sympathize with. And I hope to see like a scene where Batman and the Penguin would fight, and people would feel uncomfortable when they see Penguin getting hit, because this is a guy who has been bullied his whole life. He's only seeking some sort of redemption in his own way. It's a very easy to sympathize villain. But number 3 is Killer Moth, which is the evil counterpart of Batman. Now this is a very underrated one, because he has never been in any of Batman's theatrical releases at all. And even in Lego Batman 2, the video game, it mocks Killer Moth with one of the characters saying that, "Who is Killer Moth? Is this guy real?" Like, come on, don't mock Killer Moth, okay? Killer Moth is a legitimately good villain, and he deserves a little bit more. And Killer Moth has a very unique backstory, because he has this kind of thinking that he believes that the good guys have Batman, and now the bad guys have Killer Moth. So Batman protects the good guys, and Killer Moth protects the bad guys. He is literally the evil version of Batman. He even has his own Mothmobile, which is like the Batmobile, but Moth. And he also has a lot of gadgets of his own, and it would be interesting to see a showdown between him and Batman. It's like the ultimate good versus evil showdown. And number 2 is Harley Quinn. Harley Quinzel, I think that's her real name. And she's the psychiatrist at the Arkham Asylum who attempted to treat Joker, but in the end became influenced by Joker and became a sidekick to Joker. Now, I like Harley Quinn, and I think she's my favorite female villain, but I think Harley Quinn needs Joker because they have a very unique dynamic, which is kind of an abusive relationship in many ways, but also it shows how far Joker is willing to go to make Harley Quinn obey to him, and it also shows how far Harley Quinn is going to tolerate all of Joker's abuse just so she could get a little bit of Joker's love. It shows this really unique relationship, and the new Birds of Prey movie took this relationship out and it gave like Harley Quinn her own solo movie, and I don't think it's just as interesting as when Harley Quinn was with Joker. Their abusive relationship is one of the best things to come out from Batman, in my opinion. And I like Harley Quinn because she's just all out crazy. She's like the female version of Joker, except a lot more romantic and a lot more lovesick. And the thing about the new Birds of Prey movie that I did not like about Harley Quinn's portrayal is I don't like how merciful she is in that movie, because I don't think Harley Quinn is a very merciful person. I don't think that there's one scene in the movie where she enters a police station. I think she's gonna get something, I don't really remember, but she lets all of the police officers go, when I think that the real Harley Quinn would probably have killed all of the police officers, because she doesn't care. She's not gonna care if they have family or if they have a wife. She's not gonna care about that. She's gonna slam them with her baseball bat. That's kind of what she does. So I want to see a new Harley Quinn that is a little bit more violent and a little bit more deranged, especially since Birds of Prey is already a R-rated movie, so I don't really know why they're holding back. Maybe they want to make Harley Quinn a little bit more likable, but it takes away from her identity. Also, pair Joker up with her this time, please. And at number 1, my favorite Batman villain is also one that has never appeared in any of the movies. It's the Mad Hatter. The Mad Hatter is the darkest, most deranged and psychopathic Batman villain that I have ever seen. He kidnaps little girls because he is obsessed with Lewis Carroll's books, the Alice in Wonderland series. That's why he called himself Mad Hatter, after one of the characters in the books. And he wants to find Alice. He wants to find the perfect Alice. And that's why he kidnaps all these little girls, and then he dresses them up and forces them to have like a tea party with him. It's very dark and really twisted. And I think with a darker approach to the Batman story, like some of the newer Batman movies are a little bit darker, I think Mad Hatter would fit really well into this really dark tone of the new Batman movies, since he is just so wrong and so deranged. And I think even Batman could be surprised at just how dark and just insane that this guy could get. He kidnaps little girls, he's really dark. And I want to see this really dark version of the Mad Hatter in a new Batman movie. I think it would be really cool. Of course, it would also be really sick and violent and twisted, but it's okay. It's just a movie. It's not real, it's just a movie. So those are my favorite Batman villains.